The found footage genre rose to popularity in 1999 with the release of the Blair Witch Project, but it really wasn't until the late 2000s to the early 2010s where the found footage genre really got its gears in motion, because after the release of Paranormal Activity in 2009, we gotten a lot of found footage movies. Honestly, we got too many to count. And because of the oversaturation of the found footage subgenre, a lot of people tend to not like it. But the found footage genre has some of the best horror movies out there on the market. So to make it easy on you to find out what to watch, I've compiled a list of 10 of the most underrated found footage movies of all time. Cue the intro, then we'll get this thing started. Judy. We're gonna start off the list with a movie that I actually saw recently. It's called Willow Creek. This movie follows a couple as they're vacationing through Humboldt County, California. The mission is to find evidence of the Bigfoot mystery. Well, it's mainly the boyfriend because the girlfriend's kind of skeptical, but she wants to hang with a dude, so she rolls with him. They run into some locals, ask a few questions. Some of the locals are skeptics, some of them are real believers. But it's his determination to find out the truth that really got them in some trouble. Is Bigfoot real or is it fake? Stay tuned to the end of the movie and you'll find out. I found Willow Creek randomly one night when I was just scrolling through too because I couldn't find nothing to watch, and I finally decided to just click on it and give it a chance, and I was very surprised and very pleased actually. The movie will remind you a lot of the Blair Witch Project, like a whole lot. But as a person who's not really a fan of the Blair Witch Project, I'm gonna keep it a stack with you. I actually like Willow Creek a lot better, and just like Blair Witch Project, it doesn't necessarily show you a whole lot. It's kind of left to your imagination. Overall, Willow Creek is a solid movie. You gotta add this to your watch list. At number 2 on the list, I have a movie from 2013 called The Den. The Den follows a girl named Elizabeth who logs into an anonymous chat room that's kind of like chat roulette, and she runs across a video of a murder, or at least that's what she thinks it is. Her investigation eventually leads her down a path of paranoia and other dangers. Was the murder that she witnessed on camera real or was it a hoax? I actually saw The Den the same night that I saw Willow Creek. Like, I was just finding random movies to watch, and I found Willow Creek, found The Den, watched both, and fell in love with them both instantly. And ironically, they came out the same year. It makes me think 2013 might have really been an elite year for horror movies. This movie mixes like 3 different filming styles because it mixes found footage with real time and screen life. And if you know anything about screen life, that's movies like Host and Unfriended. The movie's fairly short too. I think it only runs like an hour and 16 minutes. However, they did a lot with that hour and 16 minutes. The story was well detailed, it was well fleshed out, very intense. The Den is definitely one of those movies that I like literally never hear anybody talking about. So for those of you who haven't seen it, I hope this is the first time you're hearing about it. Telling you, check it out, you won't be sorry. At number 3, I got a movie that's a little more known, but it's still kind of underrated in my opinion. It's called Lake Mungo. Lake Mungo follows a family who's coping with the drowning of their daughter Alice. But after her passing, her brother starts setting up cameras around the house that begin to capture images of Alice's ghost. The family begins to suspect that there was a secret that was going on that they don't know anything about, and what they discover at the end is truly disturbing. Lake Mungo is a movie that's like The Den in a way because it mixes different styles of found footage, because it follows mockumentary style as well. The way they pulled off the mockumentary style of filming in this movie was so perfect because, like, if you didn't know no better, you would think you was watching a real documentary. It's not full of jump scares. It's very eerie and just kind of unsettling. And the ghostly images, terrifying. This is definitely one of the movies you don't want to watch by yourself in the dark. Like, you kind of want to watch this with somebody. I don't care how tough you is. This movie gonna creep you out, bro. Ask anybody who you know that's seen Lake Mungo and they'll tell you I'm telling the truth. At number 4, I got The Sacrament, directed by Ty West. Hear me and hear me good. This movie is perfect. It's about a guy and his friends who travel to this random remote location to find his sister. His sister's been going through rehab and dealing with addiction, but she finds this community that's basically a cult, and she travels with them. And what they discover when they get there is way more disturbing and sinister than what they thought. If you know anything about the Jonestown Massacre and Jim Jones, this movie is pretty much a reimagining of what really happened, except of course they don't use any of the real names and they don't call it Jonestown, and the guy's name is not Jim Jones, even though the actor who plays him is Gene Jones. But boy, when I tell you, this movie was shocking, and it's very unsettling because you know, even though the movie itself is falsified, this really happened. Like, it really happened. And what's crazy is the real life story is actually worse than what happened in the movie. Way more people passed away in real life than it did in the flick. But either way it goes, The Sacrament is like that. It's Chef Kiss, bro. You gotta check it out. Next, I got a movie called Afflicted. It's a Canadian found footage film that follows two friends as they're traveling abroad, but they have their trip disrupted when one of them encounters a strange disease. The disease gives him superhuman abilities, and at first they think it's cool. They start playing around with it until they find out what it really is. I have never in my life seen a found footage vampire movie until this movie came, and I must admit, man, I was super pleased when I saw this movie. And once again, it came out in 2013, just like The Sacrament, just like The Den, and just like Willow Creek. I'm telling you, 2013 might really be a GOAT year. If you're looking for a found footage movie but you want something different than your typical, Afflicted might definitely be the one for you. Next, I got another unique found footage movie. It's called Creep. Creep follows a guy named Aaron who answers an online ad and drives to a stranger's house to help film him for the day. The man wants him to make a movie for his unborn child, but every single day that goes by, his requests become more and more bizarre. And it gets even worse when the dude starts stalking him. Listen, if you watch Creep and then afterwards you're not a little hesitant to make new friends, then maybe you need to watch it again. Bro, this dude was absolutely crazy. And it just goes to show you that you really don't know people at all. Like, it doesn't matter how they come off when you meet them. They might really be a lunatic. And yeah, it's one of those movies that does not have a happy ending. And there's a sequel to Creep as well that came out shortly after. I like the first Creep better, but the second one is definitely still a pretty solid watch. At number 7, I'm gonna do a little something different here. I got a double feature, Grave Encounters and Ganjam Haunted Asylum. Now, the reason why I put these movies together as a double feature is because they're literally the same exact movie. They both follow a group of paranormal investigation teams who are investigating a mental asylum that's been abandoned. Both parties go into the situation thinking it's all a joke, and then both parties realize that it ain't no joke. When I tell you Grave Encounters and Ganjam Haunted Asylum are literally the same movie, I really mean it, but not in a bad way. They're actually both really good on their own. They just mirror each other so well that I have to put both of them on the list. And they both offer something different because Grave Encounters is a Canadian film while Ganjam Haunted Asylum is a Korean film. So if you haven't seen them both, check them out in your double feature. You won't be sorry. At number 8, I got Noroi the Curse. Warning, this is a Japanese horror film. So you see where I'm going with this. Noroi the Curse follows a paranormal researcher who's investigating a series of mysterious events around Japan. The film reveals that after completing his latest project entitled The Curse, he disappeared and his house was burned down. And with the house was his wife, who was found dead in the ruins. This movie is a slow burn. I'm gonna let you know that right now. This movie is a slow burn. It's one of those movies that you gotta stick with to get the payoff, you feel me? But if you can invest the time and the attention, trust me, it's gonna pay off, because that ending, I've seen the movie like 3 times and I'm still trying to wrap my brain around what happened at the end of it. I mean, it's Japanese, it's found footage. I don't really know what else I gotta say to convince you to tap in. It came out in 2005 and it still holds up pretty good to this day. At number 9, I got The Taking of Deborah Logan. This movie follows a woman who hires a film crew to kind of help her document her mom's progress because her mother's dealing with Alzheimer's. But as the investigation goes along, she's starting to realize that maybe this Alzheimer's ain't just Alzheimer's, because her mother starts showing some real signs of possession. Bro, there's this one scene in this movie that if you've seen this movie, you know exactly what I mean when I say that one scene. But if you have not seen the movie, then you want to wait for that one scene to come. Trust me, when it comes on your screen, you're gonna be like, oh, that's what he was talking about. Yeah, bro, this movie crazy, dog, I ain't gonna lie. Once again, it is kind of a slow burn, I'm not gonna front, but it does have a high payoff. So if you can just stick with it long enough for that moment to happen, trust me, you won't be sorry. And last on the list, I got one of my favorite horror movies of 2022. It's a Shudder original movie called Deadstream. The best way I can describe this movie is if you remade The Evil Dead but gave Ash a GoPro camera, that's literally what this movie is. Follows this guy who's a social media influencer whose platform is starting to fall off. His career is tanking. He's trying to stay relevant. So he decides to go to this haunted house and stream himself in the house for the entire night. The rules are he cannot leave the house no matter what happens. Well, just like our friends over at Grave Encounters, he thought it was a joke. Well, wasn't no damn joke. Dude starts experiencing some of the wildest paranormal craziness that you can imagine. And the fact that this is actually a horror comedy just makes it all the better. But unlike most horror comedies, it's actually still creepy. Now, I'll admit the dude in the movie is aggravating. I'm not gonna front, he is so annoying, but I think that was kind of the point. And the guy who stars in the movie is actually the director of the movie. And he directed it with his wife. This movie is a super good time, bro. It's a movie that I never hear anybody talking about. I feel like I'm like the only person in the world who boosts this movie, bro. Watch Deadstream. I'm telling you, watch Deadstream. I made a review on it like last year. Go check that out too. All right, y'all, that concludes the list of 10 of the most underrated found footage movies of all time. I really hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, please like and subscribe for more and hit the notification bell to be notified every time I drop again. Because over here, spooky season is not just October. We watch horror movies year round. Once again, I am Stoney the Great. And like I always say, man, y'all stay spooky.